Welcome to the Hey Docs podcast with your host, Jill Allen. Today, I am joined by Dr. Dan Pan and his wife, Dr. Fiona Shi of Emerald City Orthodontics. Dan and Fiona took the road less traveled, launching their orthodontic practice together from the ground up. From navigating the early challenges of financing and branding to managing team dynamics and tech investments, their journey is a powerful look at what it really takes to build something meaningful from scratch. Whether you're thinking about launching your own practice or simply looking to grow with more intention, this episode is packed with valuable takeaways. So let's jump in. This episode was brought to you by ADEC. Are you thinking about opening an orthodontic practice? I know, it's a big decision, but saving 25% on the ADEC equipment you need to get started, that's an easy one. Because ADEC has a special program called Smart Start, designed to help you launch your first practice. You get up to 25% off your ADEC orthodontic equipment and furniture. You also get complimentary services to help you run and grow your business. And my favorite part, access to the Smart Start pricing for 2 whole years after you open your doors. That gives you flexibility to add more chairs as your cash flow grows. It's pretty smart. As an orthodontist, you care about getting all the little details right, and ADEC really got it right with this program. So if starting off with a big savings on ADEC equipment sounds good to you, the ADEC Smart Start is definitely worth a closer look. Just follow the link in the show notes to learn more. Dan, Fiona, I am so excited to have you guys on Hey Docs. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, hey Jill, how's it going? Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. I have been looking forward to doing this podcast with you. I know that you guys are just going to give us such good information, and there's so many listeners that are going to be so inspired by your story. So again, thanks for being here.
No, honored to be here.
Yeah,
That's
very
great.
honored. Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, absolutely. The way I like to start off Hey Docs is I would love it if the two of you would just tell us a little bit about your background and what led you guys to start Emerald City Orthodontics together. That's always, I have a lot of docs that come in and they're like, I've got a partner or I've got a spouse that I want to start with. And I can remember even our first conversations like, okay, there's going to be some challenges. So would you guys mind just talking a little bit about your dream and what has brought you to this point?
Yeah, I'll get started. Both Fiona and I we met at Residency. We're both international. I'm originally from Taiwan, and then Fiona's from China. So we met during our training here at Residency. Fiona originally came as a full scholarship PhD program at UCLA, and I came in just as kind of like a resident. Our background, we both came from second generation. So both our parents are dentists. Fiona's dad is an oral surgeon, and mom's a general dentist. My dad's a general dentist. So that gave us like an influence to pursuing dental field here. Our story kind of started during residency. We knew that we're in the same class, and then we got married actually immediately after graduation, which is during the pandemic years. But that gave us some time to think about like how we want to approach our career moving forward. With having 2 orthodontists, it felt for us it was a no-brainer. And then luckily we have different interests and different aspects of orthodontics. And then so it was always been our dream. But we didn't start with that, of course. When we first graduated, because of the pandemic, we wanted to explore different options, and it was a daunting task to just do a startup straight up. So I'll let Fiona talk about like her journey after graduation.
Yeah, so like Dan said, we met in residency. We're both like internationally trained dentists before we came to the States. Yeah, I did a PhD before residency, so luckily got combined with residency, so saved some time, but still a long journey at UCLA. Then after I graduated, I actually got invited by University of Michigan to be a full-time faculty at their orthodontic department. Because my parents, they're both like professors in dental school in China. So it's like very academically, like for the academia, since young, when I'm growing up, it's very immersed in that environment. Mm-hmm. So my parents really hope me to go through the academic route. Yeah, and I did a PhD. That was my first choice at that time. So after graduation, I got to University of Michigan, and Dan followed me. He found a private practice, worked there, gained a lot of valuable experience. I worked there for a year, but after that, I figured out my true love, like my true passion is really being the patient care. And we really want to have an office that we can tailor it to exactly the way we want. So we left Michigan only after about a year because we really love like West Coast in general. We love the environment, the culture and everything. And we started from here. So yeah, and he's from Canada. He had some families there. So we found like Seattle as a happy medium place. Yeah, that's how we relocated here and decided to start our office.
Yeah. And the first couple of years we've been was just with corporate office, just building our presence here because we are new. We didn't graduate from Washington and we're not really from Washington. So it took some time to get our feet wet and understanding the area a little bit better. And after that, then we decided that after like 3 years or so, it was time for us to take our baby step and dive into it.
Yeah. And I think because I worked at university, he worked at a private practice, and we both worked at a corporate before. We had a taste of every single kind of part of this whole profession. So after all of this experience, we still feel like we want to really have an office the way we want. I think that kind of in the past 3-4 years of practicing lead us really to the final decision of open our own at the end.
Yeah, I love that. And I think your journey is so similar to so many doctors out there where you get out of school and you get in and you do some residency or some associateship programs and get in and do some different things with offices and being able to get into the schools. Fiona, I think that's great as well. But so many docs still end back up on that. I love this, but I still want my own practice. And especially as you guys we were talking and you were starting to make decisions, I think I see this a lot too, where you're practicing in the associateship jobs isn't always where you're going to actually open up your practice. And that journey to figuring out, okay, I'm going to go to a totally different state that I may or may not know. I don't have a referral pattern established. And I know when we were originally we're talking about it's not just one doctor that's opening up, but 2 doctors in one practice. And how are we going to find an area that supports that? So I would love it if you guys can just talk about that journey and what that looked like to you as you were making those decisions, because there's just so many unknowns, right? What's going to be the right state? What's going to be the right city within the state that we go to? Should we find an existing practice versus doing a startup? I'm wondering if you can just talk to us a little bit about that as you guys were making those decisions to say, hey, I think I'm going to do it. We're going to do a startup, and not just one of us doing a startup, but we're going to do this together. And like, we're going to jump off, we're going to hold hands and jump off that high dive together.
Yeah, definitely. I think the approach what we took was probably not as conventional. I think what we always known was that you do a startup, you start from a couple days, you keep your associate job to have that financial stability. I know a lot of residents coming out of school, there's a lot of debt and all that involved. So the reason why we took this unconventional approach is that we felt that because we all know the period of growing in practice from startup to somewhat stable takes a couple years. It's a longer cycle. And if our goal was to try to dive in 100%, force ourselves into a corner and try to grow it as fast as we can to minimize that time. Because that 5 years is something that everyone needs to go through. But as to how quickly you get there, I feel like sometimes it does dictate on how much time you are able to contribute to it. Having that financial stability with your associate job is fantastic. But at that time, as we all know in startup, there's so many things you have to live in your office at times. So we try to invest in 200% of effort, hoping that we can reduce that time. As to the location, like Fiona said, we found that environment that we want to live first. I'm sure a lot of doctors all gone through like long commutes to their various associate jobs. And in the end, they want to build their lifestyle around their work. And I think that might be a lot of reason why doctors end up going back to starting up their own practice, that they want to fit in that lifestyle and have that balance. So we found where we want to live first, and then we like this environment. And that's how we chose here, despite not having any local connection, our family not from here, we didn't train here. But But yeah, if you want any thoughts.
I think a little bit adds on for the audience, because Jill knows both of us actually gave up our full-time associate job, then jump 100% into the startup journey. The audience probably doesn't know. And that's why Dan is saying it's not very typical route. Yeah, because typically even if it's one doctor, it wouldn't give up everything. It will just be gradually cutting days, adding days here, and eventually transition into a full doctor like job. But we actually give up like both of our full-time job. There are a couple of reasons. Our previous like corporate associate job doesn't really allow, and we do like our own office at the same time. They don't allow that anyways. So that means we need to find another part-time associate job, which is challenging in this area, either a long commute, or we just feel like the pay probably not worth our efforts. We would rather like 100% devote into our own baby office to make it grow faster. So it's a hard decision. Yeah, it's a hard decision because we don't know anyone who did the same thing. Yeah, it's very scary at the beginning.
Especially two docs doing it.
Especially two. It's basically all of our efforts. We give up all the income resources. We just want to make it work. Yeah, but I think it turned out okay. We did have at least like twice like growth compared to a normal startup situation. So I don't regret it at all. Yeah, I don't think we don't regret it at all. We think we made the right decision. Yeah, because we feel like in because our area is super, super competitive. It's within this couple miles. There are quite a few very established, mature, big provider. Yeah, and we are not even growing up here. We're not even trained here at UW. Yeah, we do feel like in this kind of situation, we need to put in double, triple, 5 times more the efforts in order to stand out and make it work. Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of wonderful doctors here, but it's like Fiona saying, it's very competitive in the sense that in the past 2-3 years, like within a 5-10 mile radius, there's 3 or 4 startups, like ortho startups. So great. I think this might end up being the trend just because of the current market situation that we have for younger doctors to find their own opportunity. But it ended up being that we really need to find our own identity with our office, how we like to practice to really stand out.
Yeah. And what I love first is I just want to say, this is something I've admired about the two of you the whole journey through is it was like caution to the wind. We are betting 100% on ourselves. And I love what you said, Dan. We like backed ourselves into a corner and said, like it's you and me. We're going at this, you and Fiona, and you guys truly like, you climbed all the way to the highest high dive and jumped right off and said, here we go. And so I've just loved that has just been your grit and from the very beginning as you've started this. And the point that you just made is something I really want to talk about a little bit, because for any of the doctors out there that are thinking about this, it is so difficult nowadays. Anybody who talks to me, anybody who's worked with me, to go into a location and not have competition it's incredibly hard to find that little diamond in the rough. But then to go in and make a name for yourself and to stand out in a highly competitive area is, I think, even tougher. And that's something that I would love it if you guys would talk about your approach, because I think it's important that the audience understands that in your first year, not only did you guys dive in and just be like, we're doing this, but you had very clear vision on how you were going to stand out and what your approach was going to be, from the patient demographics to your brand experience that you wanted your patients to have. And I'm wondering if you can talk about that, because I truly believe that was a key player, not only in you guys just giving more than 100% into this, was also a key element to how successful you were able to be in your first year.
You start your approach and I'll follow up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just like Jill said, it's super competitive and hard to stand out. We try to really scratch our heads, think of everything we can do. So we started our website super early. And because Dan is more into the computer stuff, he made our own website. We didn't really hire like any marketing company, even up to this point so far. Yeah, just because after some research, we feel for most of the marketing company, I'm sure there are very good ones. It's very expensive. And apart from that, we just feel like it's more like like templated and maybe not our personal style. It's not that obvious. Yeah, so we decided to do our own. It's all very experimental. So he made our own website and and we asked our friends to get comments here and there, make a couple of revisions. So a lot of people saying the aesthetics looks really good. We'll keep enhance it. So our website was up, I think, over 6 months before we officially opened. And we started a wait list very early. Yeah, we tried to do local events even before we open our door. We tried to do social media on all the platforms we can. Yeah, we try to have our friends post everywhere they can, basically anything we can, not officially hiring a marketing agency, but just using our own resources and do the best we can. So that kind of helped us accumulate some patients who are willing to wait for us to open, even though our construction got delayed again. Yeah, but still, by the time we opened the door, we still got about 40, 50 consults who are willing to wait for us to open even 6 months before we open. We really appreciate those group of patients. So we give opening discount, all of that. I think that really gave us a very good start. So we don't have the experience that open the door sitting there for a whole month, but 0 people coming in. We pretty much got a good cash flow and everything going on from day one, just because all the preparation we did before. So I think the most important piece of advice is definitely, even before you open the door, a lot of preparation work needs to be done way ahead of that if you want to get a head start.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, that's for recruiting patients and all that. From my side, I feel like there's 2 main things. One is just the way that we operate. So we both came from research background prior to our kind of residency and during our residency. We have worked with NASA as part of our research project. So we're like really down to making sure that everything can go on a rocket and go up to the space station.
Database.
Yeah. So everything's data driven, everything there's an Excel sheet, and that's how we operate and how we run like our operation and our creating systems and all that. The other part is the experience, like you mentioned about how to stand out. I think for us, we really drive our entire, we don't really have a mission statement or core value, but we always like to train our entire team that because we're in Seattle, so we're thinking Amazon. We like the whole experience, like how you are purchasing Amazon, that everything should be seamless and easy and we're always responsive. And that's like our core value, I'd say, even though it's not like into a statement or anything, but we want to be responsive. We want to be there. Nowadays, because of the job market, a lot of times just even showing up is have to work, but we want to go beyond that and exceed people's expectations. And then that's been what's been driving us throughout all this process. And I do see that people appreciate that and value that. So I think like in this kind of market, you just really need to find like that one niche and one thing that you can stick to and then continue to build on that. And I think our customer service on efficiency and ease of use and responsiveness, those are the main thing that kind of help us.
Yeah, I think we really pay attention to experience. Yeah, because we feel like nowadays in the market, all of our colleagues are very well trained. Everybody can deliver good results, especially in a competitive market. So we feel like the only way to stand out is to give a very good experience from the first day they walk in the office until the very end when they take their braces or Invisalign off. So we feel like that every single appointment, every single follow-up experience is really something can make it stand out. Because we feel like the results are comparably good, even though sometimes we can treat better than other people maybe, but we feel like in the patient's eyes, experience really make the difference at the end. Yeah, and the branding. So we want to make it consistent, everything consistently delivered, all the stuff saying the consistent scripts, all our colors, our little gifts here and there. We want to make it as professional, as clean as possible. So leave the same impression to the community again and again to help us build our brand.
Yeah.
Our prior experience, I think, really helped us with the different roles within the academic setting and private practice and also in corporate. We saw things that were fantastically done that we learned from it, and also some things that wasn't so great that help us. But I really feel it was valuable. I think like we wouldn't be able to grow the way that we have grown if we didn't go through those experiences. So we don't feel like those times are wasted, but it really helped us.
Yeah. And I can't agree with you more on that because I feel like you can take any situation or, anything and learn from it, good or bad. There's always something to take away from it. And I really love what you're saying. And you didn't say this exactly, but you're getting to like from the branding component of it, you guys really worked on not having brand confusion. And I think that is something that so many companies can fall prey to, is where there isn't that consistency like you were talking about, like even just paying attention to the font and the color and how you're posting and the consistency of the tone as you guys are putting your materials out there, whether it's on a social media, whether it's in a print material, whether it's something in the community. What you guys have always done is really working to make sure that at any interaction a potential customer has, they're going to have that same experience. And then when they get into the office, they've got that same experience. And as they're working through, and I think that having an understanding of that early, and I'm going to just say this out to anybody who's listening, and maybe you guys can speak to it just a little bit more, but I truly believe that is one of the key building blocks to a successful startup practice versus one that's just floundering a little bit. Is it seems, does it really matter that my orange is the same color in this, or that my messaging is the verbiage is a little different in my texts that go out from my office to the way my scripting is on something else? But I think you guys would say, yes, it really does matter.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have anything to say about that, but I think that's an important point to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think which city you're in and the demographic also plays a big role. We are in a semi-tech city here in Seattle. There's a lot of programmer and engineers. They're as OCD as we are. So we have to cater, but it helps because we are like that already. We're just infusing that into everything we do. And luckily that the patient here, they do notice that and they do appreciate that. Like you said, it's just that consistency with branding and details and experience that really drives this forward.
Yeah, that's great.
And now a word from the sponsors who make this podcast possible. Hey docs, if you want to have a great business, the right practice management software is essential. But some can be slow, outdated, and lacking good support. That's why I recommend Greyfinch to all orthodontists. It's the fastest, most reliable, and most secure platform to grow your business and improve your efficiency. It's completely web-based, so you can run your entire practice anywhere and from any device with no servers, no downloads, or hidden fees. They even have the most helpful and responsive support team around. Right now, Greyfinch is giving a $500 discount to our listeners. Visit greyfinch.com/Jill Allen to learn more and see why it's one of the fastest growing providers in America. Hey docs, let's talk about Smile Suite, because it's not just another scheduling system. It's a game changer in the world of new patient management. And as a proud Smile Suite partner, I've witnessed the incredible impact it has on practices of all sizes. Smile Suite means your new patient calls and web leads are expertly handled 7 days a week, even during nights and weekends. And they offer top-notch customizable presentation software and seamless post-consultation follow-up. It's like having a secret weapon for your practice's success. Curious? Dive into the revolution at GetSmileSuite.com. And don't forget to mention Hey Docs to unlock some extra goodies. Elevate your practice with Smile Suite, because every smile deserves a suite of excellence.
So let's talk a little bit about the financial and, operational realities of year one. Because again, we go in going, oh my gosh, I'm going from 0 to whatever our number is going to be. And I think every doctor who's made it through year one, into year two, into year three, you look back and go, wow, I did that. But there are definitely some goods and bads that come along with starting a practice, and just the reality of, oh my gosh, I'm doing this and this costs how much every month and all of that. And I'm wondering if you guys can talk a little bit about what that has been like for you, because we had very big growth in our first year. And I think for my practices that are my high producing first year practices, there's a lot just in how quickly your staffing has to increase, to budgeting that you haven't even quite figured out. Sometimes we don't even know exactly where our fixed expenses are going to land yet because everything is still coming online. So I'm wondering if you guys can just talk about that and how you managed it and how you are managing it, because not only did you have an amazing first year, but you're on track with great second year, and just where that's going. And I think those are challenges that sometimes doctors aren't even dealing with into year 3 or year 4 sometimes. So I'm wondering if you can talk just a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have a little bit of unfair advantage or disadvantage because a lot of the expense is actually coming from a second doctor working full time in the office. Good or bad, yeah. Normally, we know our percentage for payrolls and marketing and all that from our national average and norms. And I think we're pretty close to where everyone is at, but definitely our payroll is a little bit lower. Partly two reasons. One is that we have another doctor working on a lot of administrative side. And then the other part is that most of our team members are without experience. So that's, we started new and then we're hiring new teams. So definitely the growth and all that part is a little bit challenging. But from a financial aspect, that gave us a little bit more leeway and wiggle room to build on and decide and try different marketing strategies and different resources to see what really works. And I think for us, the biggest hiccups and challenges probably the initial build out that kind of took a big chunk. And nowadays, post-pandemic, everything's getting more expensive. So that I think for us was one big thing that financially that we a little bit struggle is that, yes, we spend it, it's there, and then we're paying for the loan, but that kind of put us back a little bit, and we just kind of have to catch up with our practice growth. But financially, luckily, for the last couple of years, patients are still willing and they value the treatment and the experience that they're still willing to start. That's our side on financial, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the challenges is definitely there. And I think between us two, other than the regular challenges, and because the two doctors, same profession, work in the same space, and with so many questions, so many things need to decide, we definitely fight a lot. Yeah, at one point we were thinking, is this actually a right decision or not? Is it going to ruin our
this is the part, the most real conversation of this whole thing is
it going to make it work, or actually it will going to be a big regret? Honestly speaking, many times we were thinking about it or debating about it. Is it like if we just stayed with our associate and just living a happy, good life? Yeah, so
it doesn't help that we come from the same cultural background and we're trained within the same program. So everything is comparable. So sometimes it's hard to decide who's right and wrong. And I think we continue to learn, but the solution definitely is that we try to divide and conquer on our different roles in the office. And that goes with, so that's why we do handle more on the administrative side and marketing side, and then Fiona's more on the clinical side.
Yeah. But we learned so much, not just from the practice side, but also from supporting each other, really believing each other's strengths, really believing the team member. I think that's the biggest thing I learned. It's like I cannot grow by myself for so much. It's like we'll have to work together as a team, give up on some things we are not really good at, and really trust each other and really trust the team member. When we just open the door, it's just me and him. Yeah, because we didn't hire any team member for the first, I think, two months. Yeah, we hired our first team member after 2 months into the practice, into the opening. Yeah, then we graduate at the second one, the third one. Yeah, so I think at the very beginning, we two really need to work with each other, really work with the first team member to set up the system and really to overcome a lot of the difficulties, especially the decision making, to really make it work.
Yeah. And I love your insight there. And I love you just being real about this, because I know that there are a lot of docs that are listening, and I work with a lot of docs that are spouses. And even myself in my business, I work with my spouse. And it can be difficult sometimes because you work together and you go home and you still talk about work. I can leave my office and go downstairs and we're still talking about work, and we're out on the weekend and still talking about work.
Yeah.
And there's that is it is something where you grow together, or you hope that you grow together in that. And I love it that, over the last couple of years, you guys have been able to figure out where each of you land. And I love the divide and conquer, because it is very difficult to have two type A personalities and everybody trying to do everything. You've got to be able to have that give and take. And I think that is what has made you guys so successful too, even though you've been learning through it, is to be able to say, hey, I'm going to take a little bit more of the marketing side and the administrative side. I'm going to take a little bit more of the clinical. And I think as you guys continue to go on, that will just enhance your practice anymore. And not to say that there won't be things that come up, but heck, things come up. Just in general, being married, it's hard. I just had 35 years of being married, and some days my husband and I look at each other and seriously, we've made it 35 years already?
Yeah.
You did say, I don't remember, Dan, if it was you or Fiona, but I want to kind of circle back around to something that you guys said about your team members, and that so far you have chosen to not hire team members that have experience. And I wonder if you guys would talk about that a little bit, because I think that is an important thing to talk about, because it can be really easy to get in that trap that I need to pay a really experienced, high-paid employee to make my practice successful. And I'm wondering if you guys wouldn't mind talking about that a little bit, and your decisions so far in why you have chosen not to go. Because again, that's not a real traditional way to do it.
Yeah. Truth be told, we live in a state that the labor cost is very high. It's part of the reason, I think, that, and also like we talked about, like in our prior job, we did encounter a lot of different assistant and team members with different various roles. And then we have learned on what we like and we don't like. And in your podcast and in your prior conversation, we hear a lot that you feel like nowadays what can strive is really a lean and mean small team. So combining with that thought, we took that by heart, and knowing that because of the labor cost is higher, we really need to streamline and become more efficient in the things that we do. And then everyone needs to be cross-trained. But it's very hard for an individual that is already very well versed in a certain area to suddenly cross-train to a different role. So I think that's part of the reason that we look for people with no experience. Of course, it's always hit and miss. When you get like 200 applications on Indeed and you go through them, you see all kinds of things. But you're trying to find that diamond in the rough. It's a longer process. We have gone through a lot of staffing, but we found great people in the end. And I think all that matters, that finding people that really matches with your value and your vibe, that able to provide that same experience. So was it by choice? Maybe. But I think, we're looking for people who are open-minded and then can really adapt to how we approach. Like, as we mentioned, that we don't really approach like a conventional way. Not a lot of technology involved, very OCD. And not everyone they maybe have 10-year experience, but that's not the office that they've been with. It's hard for people to adapt to that. And we understand that. There's no fault to that. You're really good at what you're doing. However, it's just a different approach here. So that's why we decided on someone new and fresh and invest our time. So I think that worked out so far. But I think as time goes on, as we try to continue to grow, we will eventually have to pick up some people with different expertise, like building our initial startup team with different consultants and all that. We need people to help us to take us to the next level.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think at the beginning, because it's two doctors, so both of us understand the whole profession and we can train the staff. So we do have a little bit extra time, probably compared to a one doctor startup, to really devoting to the staff training. I think that's part of the reason we choose to hire people who doesn't have background as well. Just like Dan said, we really want to tailor the staff to exactly the way we want. And we are a full digital office, so we use a lot of computer systems. We use a lot of like high-tech stuff. In our previous office experience, we just feel like for very experienced staff, unless it's really a good match, but the chance is very low, like they can really adapt to a newer office with so many high-tech things going on, unless they just learn from scratch. Yeah, and there are a lot of habits. It's actually very hard to change after 15, 20 years of practicing. Those are good habits. It just may not be the right habits we want and work for our office and our philosophy. Yeah, and we are super lucky because in the first year, we actually found really good team member. Yeah, who stayed. Our first employee actually still stayed with us even up to now, over a year. Yeah, we are very happy. Yeah, we find the very first good employee that stayed with us, and we added the second one, the third one, the fourth one. So like Dan said, we gone through like hundreds of applications. We really have to find the diamonds. Yep. Yeah, to really filter it out. And not just like the skill wise, it's more really the personality we're looking for and the people who appreciate the growth, who appreciate the opportunity to stay with us, to go through all this training, this education, and really have a growth in their career, raising their pay and everything go from like a lower starting point, but they see the potential for the future. I think that's really the personality of the people we are looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think you guys are really, and you've heard me say this, before, but I think what you guys are showing them is that there is a career in orthodontics.
Yes.
It's not just a job, and they're going to be hopping from a job to another job. And I think that's the beauty of it, when you can pour in at the base level and show them that there's a career path within our industry and within your office. That right there also, I believe, really gets us buy-in from our employees as they're growing with you and with the practice.
Yeah, we have had candidates just said, like you said, they just want to hop between different jobs. They just take this as an hourly paid job, but none of them worked out. Yeah, we found out the ones who really stayed with us are really the one who's seeing the potential and wants to have a career and really appreciate this growth and this environment. The ones who really just want to find an hourly pay, regardless it's in a restaurant or in a dental office, they don't see the difference. It's just that dollar amount for every hour. I think none of them really worked out. Yeah, so that's really proved what we were looking for. And it really needs to be a specific type of employee that we're looking for and that can be a good match to our office.
Yeah. I love that. As we start to finish up here, I know we could just keep on talking, and I'm sure everybody's been like, oh, give us some more good information. But I would love it if, as we finish up here, if you guys would maybe give us one or two big lessons that you learned over this last first year. You guys have been dropping great little pearls the whole way. But if you could give us a couple maybe big lessons that you've learned, and then maybe just some advice for anybody who's out there and might be thinking, gosh, you know what Dan and Fiona are saying just really sounds like me. And I think I'm ready to take this big step, even if it's in a competitive market or whatnot. And I'm also going to ask one more thing. And I know it's not fair to add on all these questions, but I'm wondering if you can just talk a little bit about if you felt like you made the right decision to start digital from the beginning, because I think that's a big question that a lot of docs have. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah. So yeah, back to your first part of the question is big lesson learned. This is my personal feeling that being an orthodontist that is trained in this generation of the post-pandemic era, it's really a different world, I would say. We face different challenges the docs before, but we have so much resource than before. Like these Facebook groups weren't there back in 20 years ago. These podcasts and all these information, AI started blooming post-pandemic and really changed the way that we operate. YouTube, like a lot of things that we have to self-learn from marketing and all that through YouTube, that it's scary, it's challenging. Maybe you feel like there's less opportunity, but nowadays there's so much more resource, but you have to utilize and then try to make it into your own. So yes, it is scary definitely to come out of a world like this, but at the same time, knowing that the younger docs, you grew up in this environment, and then all these tools are at your disposal, but you just need to use it. Not everything is going to cost thousands of dollars, but yes, you're going to have to invest your time to trade for that skill set that wasn't taught in residency. Yeah, if you don't have any thoughts on.
Yeah, I think for the advice or the things I learned is that I think for the younger doctors who are looking for start up their own office, but they are currently in residency or in associate job, I would encourage you to try as many different things as you can. Yeah, I think that's one thing I really learned, because it's a much higher expense at a much higher cost. after you open, you try out your own expense in your own office and experiment on your own patients. Yeah. So not experiment in a bad way. It's just like we two are both that type of personality. We want to keep adapt new technology rather than stay in our comfort zone, then repeat the same thing for the next 20 years. Yeah, we want to use the technology. We want to try different things and keep enhance our protocol and the supplies and everything. So I just feel like if I can go back in residency or even in my previous associate job, I should have taken more advantage of trying different vendors, trying different things, different bracket system, like, yeah, different like accelerators, all kinds of things I can use to really, with more exposure, I sometimes find out, oh, actually I can adapt this better. Actually, I have a better workflow, a better protocol. Maybe this make it bonding better. Yeah, I feel like before starting your own office, at another office or in school, if there's a resource you can do as many as you can, I think that's great experience. Yeah, so you can have a better idea what you want to use in your own office. Yeah.
And then you mentioned about going digital. So I think for us, of course, like my own personality and my experience helped me go in that direction. But because we have two doctors, at day one, we knew there will be a second office. So a lot of times it's also thinking about the future and how are we going to scale? Like we know as a two ortho office, our advantage definitely doesn't show at the very beginning. We just have a lot more time on our hands, but then there's not enough patient for two doctors. The really advantage starts to kick in when we're at the one doctor capacity and we're ready to expand to the second doctor or second location, because in a snap, we're ready to go. All the systems are there, the philosophy is there, everything is calibrated, and digital kind of enables us to do this. So everything that we're doing now, not in analog, but in digital, we can continue to build on that. And then we can quickly expand and replicate that in the second or third location because it's digital. And that also helps with onboarding our team member, building our experience. Everything is, you're able to build on that. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons that we decided to go digital. Yes, sometimes it can be more expensive because of the cost of technology, but we value that the scalability that we're able to utilize down the line in 5 or 10 years, that we know that it's going to help us if we build the system well enough in our foundation.
Yeah. And I feel like it's circling back to the experience. I feel like it gives the patient better experience too, especially we're in a tech hub. Yeah, so people appreciate it so much when we use a full digital system. So honestly, from the day we open until now, almost a year and a half, we barely use our printer. Yeah, I think compared to a conventional dental or ortho office, the printer is busy all day long. Every consult print out the quotes, every patient print out receipt. Yeah, just as a detail as that, we try to do paperless. A lot of patients are really impressed about it. And all the other workflow, we try to streamline it. And we try to use the best technology products in our office as well to give the patient like a shorter bonding time, better bonding strengths, a faster treatment. So it is a higher overhead in the supply end. However, we feel like it's a trend for the future. We have to grow as the technology grow. We cannot stay in that like conventional way, repeat it for our next 20 years. Yeah, we are a different generation of doctor. And I think in the long term, it improves efficiency so much, improves experience so much. So it's well worth every penny. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys have just been fabulous. And thanks for answering and fielding that last question, because I think that is probably every doctor I talk to. I think most doctors of your generation want to start digital, but it is scary. And when you look at the overhead, you're like, can I afford it? Can I not? And I know you guys know my answer is yes. There's never a better time to work on putting digital systems into place than in your first year, when you've got the time to work through it, to figure out what doesn't work, and then to just train your team on it, because they will know no other way if you guys have got the system set up in place. So as we finish up, I'm just wondering if somebody wanted to reach out to you guys and just maybe pick your brain about something or connect with you a little bit, find out a little bit more about Emerald City Orthodontics. What's going to be the best way that they could get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, so our office email is hi@ecortho, so ecortho.io. Or they can just Google us on Emerald City Ortho, our Instagram page, and just reach out to us with DMS. Yeah, I'll be happy to answer. It was a very roller coaster ride for both of us, but I think that we got a lot of great experience. And with you guys' help, both you and Gina has been wonderful throughout our process. Having that person to ask, and we didn't grow up here, education, our cultural background. There's a lot of things that we need to learn about running a small business in this place. You guys really helped us to ease our mind and then know that we're still in the right track. A lot of times it does require that
and
to
helped us
keep us
avoided
going.
so many mistakes.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think we wouldn't be where we are today without you guys' help. That's one of the best decisions we made in our startup journey, for sure.
Oh, thank you guys for saying that. That's so sweet. Awesome. As the way I like to finish up Hey Docs is to do a quick little speed round. So maybe I'll ask a question and let one of you field one, and then I'll ask another one and field another,
Sure.
and we'll get through it. All right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. You guys decide who starts first, but first question. What is one business trend that you think more people should be paying attention to?
Yeah, so I think this might be a longer answer, but I feel like to stand out, what I do is 5-mile, 10-mile radius, add every single dental office around you into your Instagram feed, and then just look through them every day. You will eventually find a consistency throughout the materials being posted, and all you got to do is just add your own element into it to make it something more unique that you're willing to stop your scrolling and then stay there. So I think it's like marketing research on your own end, but doesn't cost a lot of money. But you just need to create another account and then just look at where everyone is doing.
That's a great one. All right. What is the most unexpected lesson you've learned in your career?
I would say it's the staffing issues. Yeah, because we heard from many people, after you have your own office, the staff is the most challenging part, but we didn't expect it's that challenging, to be honest. Even between both of us are trying to manage it, but still it's a struggle. It's like just like we discussed before, we are looking for a specific type of personality and team member. So that narrowed the candidates to quite a bit. And also, after we have the candidates on board, the training, the interaction, because as owners, we are fairly new in the field as well. We are learning and growing every day how to really train the team member, how to get the team work together. I think that's a big thing. We didn't get much training from school, even from our previous associate job. We just go there, work, and then leave. I think this is the biggest thing we learned, and we need to keep learning. And even just after 1 year, we learn and grow so much in this area. Yeah, I think that's the most challenging thing and unexpected, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's harder than orthodontics.
Yeah, it really is. And for all of us, it really is. All right, just a few more. If you could give your younger self one piece of career advice, what would it be?
I'll let you do this one.
You can go. The younger. I think it's the same and we discussed before. I would advise my younger self to learn as many different things as possible, explore to as many options as possible. Because when I look back during residency, I'm so focused on the knowledge part. Yeah, I'm so focused on it. I feel like that's the whole world. As long as I learn orthodontics, then that's 100% covered. But after I graduate, practice, and after I have my own office, I realized that's actually only a small portion of the pie, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like if I can go back, I would have more resources and advantages in the residency if I could have explored more on the business side, on the marketing side, if I could visit more faculties' offices just to see how they operate the office, how they get along with the staff, how they train the team member, like all this kind of other aspects of the orthodontics. It will be so helpful now. And also try different vendors, different systems. Yeah, so for younger self, the advice, I would say if time can go back, I would just not narrowly looking at the knowledge part. I would want to broaden my vision much more and try as many things as possible and visit as many other offices and learn from the faculties from the other aspects of the business more.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. All right. And then if we finish it up, if you had unlimited resources, what's one big idea you'd bring to life?
So I would find the biggest mall in your area and then do an entire ground up build up and a brand new office. I think that's the biggest. And that's like our goal. In a lot of the big cities, real estates are very expensive. Finding your own land and do a ground up is just not nearly impossible, and especially in the ideal location. So I think nowadays, after we've gone through our kind of a year and a half, we do realize that the location sometimes is important, but not extremely. If you have a good experience, that people will come to you, but you need to be at somewhere that is accessible to people. So I think, if I can pick the biggest mall and then do a ground up, that would be amazing.
And I will add one piece on it, and we will build that building, then rent out the other spaces to other dentists and specialty.
Absolutely.
Then have a strong referral.
Have that trifecta.
If we can do whatever we want. Yeah.
I love that. I always say have an oral surgeon, a pediatric dentist, and an orthodontist, and you're set.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's the ultimate goal. Hopefully we can get there one day.
Yeah. You guys, it has been just such a pleasure. Thank you again for being on Hey Docs. Your answers were amazing. I know there's a lot of people that are like, this is what I needed to hear. So thanks again for spending time and taking time out to be on Hey Docs with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks
you
so much, Ayla.
All right. See ya.